5, this 18-year-old sits jailed tonight, charged in the murder of a Clayton man on Monday. Before the fatal shots, Trinell Johnson was caught on camera armed in the very area of that crime.
First Alert 4 Investigates is bringing to light concerns from St. Louis County prosecutors that Johnson should not have been, in their opinion, free to roam the streets.
First Alert 4 investigator Susan O'Corey is on tonight's top story. Susan.
Well, we know prosecutors wanted to make it harder for him to get out of jail, but 18-year-old Trinell Johnson never should have been on that street, let alone with a gun. Both are violations of his bond. We spent the day going through court records. Now, what we've learned is at the time of the shooting, he was on 24/7 GPS monitoring and could only leave his house for work, medical, or legal appointments. That's from a case where he was arrested in March in St. Louis County. In that case, he's accused of driving a stolen car, then leading police on a high-speed chase where he crashed into a Metro bus and then a truck. Police say Johnson ran from the car and flashed a gun at officers. Court records show Johnson from that had been on, again, 24/7 GPS monitoring. Now we know that case he was charged with lower level felonies. His bond was initially set at $30,000, but the judge dropped it to $3,000. The judge says he can't comment on this case because it's still open, but we did ask St. Louis prosecuting attorney Wesley Bell about it.
This is an 18-year-old who hadn't been charged with any serious A or B felony, and so again, we don't make those final decisions. But I do want to put some perspective because I think, in a situation like this, it's natural to want answers to these types of questions. And I do have to say in the court's defense that looking at these cases, what they did is not out of line with what is typically done in a case like this.
We're also learning Johnson may have violated his bond before the shooting, but those don't show up in the open court record. We found in September what's called a pre-trial assessment was filed by the courts, and it may note some violations. We asked Bell if he knew about that. This is what he had to say.
So what you have to understand is with GPS, if we are, when we are notified of a violation, we get what's called a violation alert. This was filed as a pretrial assessment, which we were not CC'd on. We were not given this information.
We're going to keep pressing for answers on how those are handled. And coming up at 6, we're looking more into bond and just what judges have to weigh before deciding if someone should have the chance to get out. Sam?
Susan, thank you. And tonight, First Alert 4 is also learning new information about Joshua Harris, the man Trinell Johnson is accused of killing on Monday. First Alert 4 spoke to Harris's father, who says Josh was a, quote, good man and God-fearing man. We've also learned that Harris has ties to the Metro East. His family works at the Holy Ghost Chapel in East St. Louis. We'll have more reaction on this deadly shooting and more on the breakdown of the judicial system coming up tonight at 6. And as this case